Well, the cash registers are still ringing loud today as the busiest week of the year for retailers continues, from Black Friday to Cyber Monday. But the big test for our economy after 15 interest rate rises in 18 months is the resilience of shoppers. Now, while the official figures won't be known for a month, one of the best guides is Shopify, the platform for online and physical retailers. Shaun Broughton is the Asia Pacific Managing Director at Shopify and joins me now. Shaun, many thanks for your time. Just give me a sense, what was the consumer like out there over this past week or so?
Ross, thanks for having me on the show again. Yep, all the information and data is flowing in fast and furious. We've got Black Friday on that happened just this past Friday, and we've got Cyber Monday live and happening right now, this moment. Some observations. I think the first observation we've made, and we saw a little bit of this last year, is that Black Friday, Cyber Monday is not so much an event anymore. It's becoming a season. And what I mean by that, your listeners and yourself probably would have noticed promotional activity starting a week, sometimes 2 weeks earlier this year, which is great. So the offers from retailers and merchants and brands are extending a lot earlier, giving more time for consumers to come in and purchase. So if we look at Shopify here in Australia, it's powering over 25% of e-commerce and over millions of businesses around the world. So what we have seen also, another insight, is the power of the consumer. That resilience you mentioned is real. Total sales right now are $4.1 billion, which is up 22% year on year. And if we look at physical retail, so point of sale that's transactioning through Shopify in physical locations, so people coming into stores, that's up 27% year on year. So very encouraging signs from the market already as we look at consumer spending.
Okay, so there's a couple of things here also, because quite clearly it's whether it's dragging sales forward from that Christmas period, where the people now do their Christmas shopping, sort of in these last week of October, first week of November, and whether that actually defers sales. Because one thing, and you would see this in the warehouses that you obviously service for many of your retail customers, is whether their behaviour changes according to these new trends.
Yeah, absolutely. The behaviors that we're seeing from retailers and merchants is that the offers are extremely generous and they're diverse. And so if I look at certain retailers might offer a price promotion. So if I look at JB Hi-Fi, for instance, which is a loved brand here in Australia, they've got deals of up to half price off. So extremely generous, extremely attractive offers to the market. But then you can look at other retailers or brands, in particular, another great Australian brand, July. So July down in Melbourne, they do wonderful luggage. They've actually looked at an added value to purchases. So you can come into July this weekend and get personalization. So your name or the name of whoever's gift you're buying actually put onto the physical luggage. So that's two different ways that retailers and brands are using the promotion to drive people into store. And if we look at Australia in particular, Australia is ranked number 4 when we look at volume of sales globally, behind, to no surprise, the US, the UK, and Canada. So we're batting well where we normally would. And if we look at a checkout, so how much is each checkout value is in that per transaction, is at $165, which is also up on last year. So again, more positive signs in the economy.
So that partly could be inflationary, because we know that prices have risen. We know in our big supermarkets that the basket sizes have shrunk, but the actual sales have increased. And that's the reason why these sales events become so important for retailers to clear stock, but also to be able to get cash flow through the door.
Absolutely. And I think even as retailers look and manage that cash flow, my wife is a retailer herself and owns her own retail store. Cash flow is a really important part of a business, as you know. So that ability to have free flowing cash to stock up for the big peak sales of Christmas is also important. So my wife and I were also online shopping for our little boy for Christmas last night. And so I think, like I said, it's become a season. It's become very strategic, not only here in Australia, but I think around the globe. And if we look at right now, Cyber Monday, which is happening right now, you can actually go on live and watch right now over 1,700 plus cities how much people are buying and transactioning. Just go to shopify.com/BFCM and you can explore a lot of live data from millions of brands around the world. And so just before I came on, Ross, I thought it'd be fun to have a quick look. So live data right now happening. Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane are spending the most right this second. there's been over 1.3 million Australian dollars spent per minute today. And if we look at Sydney and Melbourne, a bit of rivalry there. I'm here in Sydney, but Sydney is spending $12,000 per minute. Melbourne is coming in at $31,000 per minute. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of spending, and what we're seeing great results from this period.
I'll tell you what, it does certainly stimulate the consumer's appetite. And Shaun, always good to chat to you. Many thanks for your time today.
Thanks so much for having me.